Welcome to the deep dive. We plunge into complex topics, pull out those key insights, well, the ones you need to be really well informed. Today, we're heading into the skies, but maybe not quite how you'd expect. We're exploring the fascinating, often kind of hidden world of converting passenger aircraft into these massive cargo planes. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. We're talking passenger to freighter, P2F conversion. So you basically take an older passenger jet, right? Strip out all the seats, redesign the inside, beef up the structure, and boom, it's a dedicated cargo workhorse. So pretty incredible engineering, actually, our mission today. Explore why this trend is, well, so vital for global commerce. Who are the big players making it happen? And, what's next for this growing market? Because it directly impacts how everything gets around the world, from your Amazon order to crucial medical supplies.
What's really fascinating here, I think, isn't just the mechanics, taking apart old planes. It's how they're ingeniously extending the economic life of these aircraft and creating totally new value in the global supply chain. It's not just smart repurposing. For the industry, this is leading to some real aha moments in logistics and asset management. It's quite strategic.
Yeah, definitely strategic. And when we talk about growth, the P2F market isn't just growing, it's really taking off. We've seen different projections, sure, but the trend, undeniably upward. For instance, some data puts the market at, USD 2.78 billion in 2024, projected to hit over 8 billion by 2034. That's a compound annual growth rate around 11.3%. Pretty strong. Other sources have slightly different numbers, maybe starting lower, like 0.56 billion in 2025, going to 1.63 billion by 2034. Or maybe 3.8 billion in 2023, up to 6.9 billion by 2033. But the direction is clear.
Right. The exact figures vary a bit, but they all point the same way. Significant, sustained growth.
So these numbers, they really paint a picture, don't they? A big shift. What's the core insight here? Is this just a temporary boom, or is this conversion thing now like a permanent fixture? And why?
Oh, it's much more than temporary. I think the real aha is seeing that P2F isn't just, fixing up old planes. It's a strategic reaction to a fundamental change in how goods move. Think about e-commerce. It's exploded, hasn't it? Now accounts for, 22% of total retail sales globally?
Wow, 22%.
Yeah, and that creates this massive, almost insatiable demand for quick, flexible air cargo, just building brand new freighters. It can't keep up.
Yeah.
So converting existing passenger planes is the industry's kind of ingenious hack,
Right.
It unlocks needed capacity, turns aging fleets, which might seem like a liability,
Right.
into a huge asset. And
Yeah.
it's driven by cost effectiveness, getting the most out of existing planes. It just makes sense.
That economic angle is huge, especially when you hear the refurbished segment dominates revenue. Converting is just, usually cheaper than buying new freighters. But are there hidden downsides? Does relying on older planes limit capability at all, or are the savings just too good to pass up?
That's a fair point. And yes, there are trade-offs. Cost is king here, but it's not the only factor. Older airframes, for instance, might need more maintenance down the road, or maybe they're slightly less fuel efficient than a shiny new purpose-built freighter.
Okay.
But the sheer urgent demand for cargo space right now, combined with how long it takes to get new planes built, well, it makes those trade-offs generally acceptable for the industry at the moment. The capacity is needed now.
Right. Makes sense. So who's actually doing these conversions, these complex transformations?
Yeah.
Given the scale, the precision needed, a few big names must stand out. Who should we look at first?
Absolutely. And right near the top, you've got EFW, Elba Flugzeugwerk GmbH. They're a joint venture, ST Engineering and Airbus. And they are, definitely at a forefront.
Their track record sounds pretty solid. Over 400 aircraft redelivered since '96. So a lot of planes. But beyond just the sheer volume, what really makes them stand out in this, competitive field?
Well, what's really unique about EFW is they're the only global conversion house using OEM technical data for the Airbus P2F programs.
OEM, original equipment manufacturer.
Exactly. So they're working directly with Airbus's original designs, the blueprints, the engineering insights. That gives them an edge in precision, efficiency. It's not just a small detail. In fact, they were the very first in the world to redeliver a converted A321 freighter.
That is a big advantage. And there's specific programs, the A320 and A321 P2F. What makes them so good for cargo?
Okay, so these A320 and A321 P2F models, they're really well regarded. Why? Fuel efficiency, lower operating costs, and critically, they were the first in their class to offer fully containerized loading on both the upper and lower decks.
Fully containerized, meaning standard containers fit easily?
Precisely. It makes loading and unloading much faster, much more efficient. Think standard shipping containers. The A321 P2F can haul over 28 tons. The A320 P2F, over 21 tons, so they're perfect for express carriers for that e-commerce boom we talked about.
Right.
And they don't stop there. They also have an A330 P2F program, wider body, with 2 versions optimized for different cargo densities and ranges. So versatility, too.
And they're clearly expanding. EFW just got CAC validation for the A320, A321 P2F programs in July 2025. For our listeners, what does CAC validation really mean for EFW's business?
CAC. That's the Civil Aviation Administration of China. Getting their stamp of approval is huge. It's basically the green light to operate these specific converted planes in China. And China is, one of the world's biggest and fastest growing air cargo markets. So, yeah, it's a major step.
Definitely opens doors.
Absolutely. It really boosts their presence there. They've already redelivered, I think, 19 converted A330s in China since 2023, and they're building out this global network. 8 conversion sites now: Shanghai, Chengdu, Guangzhou, Tianjin in China, plus Singapore, Dresden in Germany, and they're even setting up shop in Okinawa, Japan, really spreading out.
Okay, so EFW is a major force, but then there's Mammoth Freighters. They're making waves too, right?
Yeah.
Especially with Boeing 777s.
Yes, Mammoth is another key player, focusing specifically on converting the Boeing 777-200LR and the 777-300ER into freighters, the MF designation. Their capabilities are pretty impressive. They made a big strategic investment in Aspire MRO down in Fort Worth, Texas.
MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul.
Exactly.
Okay.
These MRO facilities are crucial. Aspire has this enormous hangar, like 778,000 square feet, 7 wide-body bays, huge capacity. Plus, they've teamed up with STS Aviation Services over in Manchester, UK. That gives them conversion capability and product support in Europe.
And they seem pretty committed. Commitments for 29 of the 777-200 LRMFs and 6 777-300 ERMFs. That's not small potatoes.
Yeah.
It feels like a big bet on the future of wide-body cargo, doesn't it? Especially for certain long-haul routes.
It absolutely is. They're aiming to complete their first 777-300 ERMF conversion by the end of this year, 2025. And get this, they can build 24 of the main cargo doors each year. Their conversion lines can handle about 21 aircraft annually. That signals serious ambition. They're not just playing. They're aiming to be a dominant force in these high-capacity, long-range conversions, crucial for global e-commerce reach.
And we can't forget IAI, Israel Aerospace Industries. They were pioneers, weren't they? First with the Boeing 777-300ER conversion program. That first flight was back in March 2023. I remember reading about that.
That's right. And they just showed off a pretty neat innovation recently. IAI successfully tried loading a massive Trent 1000 engine that's the type used on the Boeing 787 Dreamliner onto the main deck of their 777-300 ERSF freighter.
Wow, an entire jet engine.
Yep. It really demonstrates the plane's huge 100-ton carrying capacity. And its versatility can handle other big engines too, like the GE90, the Trent 700. These converted planes are seriously capable.
And like EFW, IAI is also expanding globally through partnerships like that deal with Sharp Technics in South Korea.
Exactly. Building a new 777 conversion facility in Incheon. It shows this isn't just happening in 1 or 2 places. The expertise and the facilities are becoming more global.
Okay, so EFW, Mammoth, IAI are clearly giants.
Yeah, and we should probably give a quick nod to others too, like ST Engineering, EFW's parent. Their own passenger-to-freighter business is booming, actually beat its 2026 revenue target way early, hitting $706 million in 2024.
Ahead of schedule. Impressive.
Very. And then you have companies like AEI, Aeronautical Engineers, Inc., and Embraer from Brazil. They're also making really important contributions, especially more in the regional jet and narrow-body conversion space. It's a diverse market.
So, okay, incredible growth, amazing engineering, but it sounds like it's not all smooth flying. These companies are facing some serious headwinds, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned feedstock, engine problems. Given all that turbulence, is the P2F market really as strong as those forecasts suggest? Where's the aha moment in getting past these hurdles?
That really is the critical question, isn't it? And yes, the challenges are significant. Let's start with feedstock, finding suitable older aircraft to convert. It's a major bottleneck. There's just a limited supply of planes in the right age range, good condition.
Yeah.
The ones that make economic sense to convert. And competition to buy them is fierce, which drives up the price. You can't convert what you can't get your hands on or can't afford.
Right. And it's not just finding the planes. The whole aerospace supply chain seems stressed. You hear about aircraft order backlogs. Over 17,000 globally. That implies like a 14-year wait for some new planes.
It's staggering.
And 2025 deliveries are expected to be way down, like 26% lower than initially planned.
Yeah.
The whole pipeline feels clogged.
It does, and it's made worse by these persistent engine issues. You mentioned the PW1000G engine family earlier. Those durability problems aren't minor. They've grounded over 1,100 relatively young aircraft planes less than 10 years old.
1,100, wow.
Yeah, and nearly 70% of those grounded planes have these specific engines. So you have this huge pool of potential lift just sitting parked. It hammers fleet utilization for airlines and drives up leasing costs for the planes that are flying.
And on the conversion side itself, you mentioned overbooked slots. Some facilities booked solid until 2026. It's like trying to get a dinner reservation at the hottest restaurant, but for multi-million-dollar aircraft conversions.
Yeah, something like that. It creates real bottlenecks. And it's not just the physical space. There's also a shortage of the specialized, qualified engineers and technicians needed to do this complex work.
People are key.
Absolutely. Then layer on top of that geopolitical tensions, trade disputes. They cast a long shadow. We saw overall air cargo demand growth slow right down, just 0.8% year on year in June 2025, partly linked to U.S. trade policies, tariffs, that kind of thing.
And such big regions get hit hard.
Right. The Middle East, for example, saw a 3.2% drop year on year in air cargo in June 2025, partly due to airspace restrictions needing complex rerouting. It adds cost, adds transit time, disrupts the flow.
And then there's the cost of fuel, specifically sustainable aviation fuel, SAF. Expected to be, 4.2 times the cost of regular jet fuel in 2025, partly due to compliance fees in Europe. Can you quickly break down what those are?
Sure. Essentially, these are mandates or financial incentives, sometimes penalties, designed to push airlines towards using more SAF to meet emissions targets. Environmentally crucial, absolutely. But they add another layer of cost pressure on airlines.
Even while regular jet fuel prices have dropped a bit.
Exactly. It's this complex cost environment airlines are navigating. Fuel, maintenance, leasing, now SAF mandates, it all adds up.
And one more hurdle. Even with all this development, some big conversion programs like IAIs and Mammoth 777 projects are still waiting for the final regulatory green light for commercial flights.
That's correct. They might have flown prototypes, done tests, but getting full certification from bodies like the FAA or EASA takes time. So even if the plane is physically converted and ready, it can't legally carry commercial cargo until all the paperwork is signed off. Another potential delay point.
Wow. Okay, so feedstock shortages, supply chain snarls, engine woes, book slots, geopolitical friction, fuel costs, regulatory hurdles. It's quite the obstacle course. But despite all that, looking ahead, what's the outlook? Where does this sector go from here? This is where it gets really interesting, I think, for anyone tracking global logistics.
Well, despite the headwinds, the long-term forecasts remain pretty optimistic, actually. Boeing, for example, anticipates needing 1,720 converted freighters over the next 20 years.
1,720.
Yeah. They break it down as about 1,200 narrow-body conversions and 520 wide-body. And Airbus. They forecast that conversions will make up over 60% more than half of all freighter deliveries between 2023 and 2042.
Over 60% coming from conversions. That's huge. It really signals a fundamental shift, doesn't it? Especially when you hear that over 42% of aircraft lessors, the companies that own the planes, now prefer converting mid-life jets over buying new freighters. Why is that preference from the lessors so important for the P2F trend long term?
It's hugely significant because lessors control vast fleets. They make the big bets on asset value. Their shift towards conversion shows a deep confidence in its economics and its necessity for the future. It tells you P2F isn't just a quick fix. It's becoming a core part of how the industry manages aircraft assets over their entire life cycle. They see the long-term value.
And we're seeing different roles for different plane sizes within this trend.
Exactly. Narrow-body jets, like the A320, A321, or Boeing 737s, they continue to dominate the number of conversions. They're cost-effective, ideal for regional routes, feeding that booming e-commerce demand, that sort of middle-mile delivery.
Right.
But the wide-body conversions, the bigger planes like the 777 or A330, they're actually seeing the fastest growth rate. That's driven by the need for high capacity on long-haul international routes, moving large volumes between continents. So both segments are vital, just serving different needs.
And technology isn't standing still either, not just the planes, but the conversion process itself. You mentioned things like additive manufacturing, 3D printing.
Yes, exactly. Additive manufacturing offers really exciting possibilities here. Think about creating lightweight, highly customized parts specifically designed for the freighter configuration.
How did that help? Faster? Cheaper, lighter?
Potentially all three. 3D printing allows for rapid prototyping, producing complex parts perhaps faster than traditional methods. It can reduce material waste. And critically, it can create parts that are lighter but just as strong. Less weight means better fuel efficiency for the finished freighter. It's about literally rebuilding the plane smarter.
Fascinating.
And one last point on the broader context. The airline industry itself is showing resilience. Collective net profits are projected to strengthen a bit in 2025, maybe around $36 billion globally, helped by lower oil prices recently and very strong passenger demand. Load factors, how full the planes are projected to hit a record high, 84%.
Wow.
And that booming passenger travel has a side benefit for cargo, too. It boosts belly hold capacity.
Right, the cargo space underneath the passenger cabin.
Exactly. That belly capacity actually increased by nearly 5% year-on-year in June 2025. So even passenger planes are playing a growing, albeit secondary, role in the overall air freight picture. The whole system is interconnected.
What an incredible journey through this P2F world. It's so clear how vital, how ingenious this whole conversion process is, really propping up global trade, enabling e-commerce, all thanks to the smarts of companies like EFW, Mammoth, IAI, and others. So here's something to think about as we wrap up. Considering how crucial these freighter conversions are becoming, especially with all the supply chain pressures, the push for efficiency, what might be the next big disruptor? Could it be a new technology leap? Maybe something unforeseen geopolitically? What could completely redefine air cargo in the next, say, 5 or 10 years?
That's the big question, isn't it, as you reflect on all this? What really stands out to you from this deep dive into the working skies of air freight?